Ali Baba and 40 Thieves. Episode number 04. More gold for Mustafa. Back in the forest, the 40 thieves were galloping towards Cave More Gold. They in a good mood. They were going to add the gold to their treasure. "Let's check that all our treasure is still there," shouted their leader. "No one will dare to steal anything from the cave. They will see the body hanging from the roof and they will be very frightened. That horrible sight will make them think again." Then the thieves all laughed and galloped on towards the cave. When they reached the big gray rock, they jumped off their horses and ran to the secret door. "Open, Sesame!" shouted the leader. The door opened and the leader stepped through it and looked around the cave. "It's gone. The body has gone," he cried. Then he stamped his foot on the ground angrily and stared at his men. "I told you there was another thief," he shouted. "We killed one of them. But the other thief came back and took his body." When the leader looked around the cave, he saw something that made him even more angry. More gold was missing. "We must find out who this man is and where he lives," he shouted as the thieves entered the cave. "Then we will kill him, too." "But how can we find out who this man is?" one of the thieves asked. "Because he took the body," replied the leader. "One of us must go into the town and listen to what people are saying. Someone will know that a man has been killed or disappeared. When we find out who he was and where he lived, it will be easy to find the other man." "I will go," said one of the thieves. "I will find out who he was and where he lived." "You are a brave man and you are clever," replied the leader. "This is a very important job." "I am sure that I can find the man," said the thief. "Go, then," said the leader. "But you must wear a disguise. Put on a long cloak and pretend that you are a traveler. Tell the people that you are new to the town. Take some gold, you may need it to pay for information. Talk to people and listen carefully to what they say." Then they left the cave and the leader said the password. "Dash close, Sesame." And the door closed with a bang. The next day, the thief put on a long cloak with a hood. He walked into the town's market and talked to the traders about the things they sold. He soon knew a lot about rope, and meat, and cloth, and chickens. He went into the coffee houses and talked about the weather and the price of bread. He went into the gardens and into the bath houses. He talked to rich men, he talked to poor men, he talked to hundreds of people. But he found out nothing. No one spoke of a killing. No one spoke of a cave full of treasure. "I've talked to hundreds of people, but no one has told me what I want to know," the thief said to himself. "No one has told me anything about the dead man. I will have to go back to my leader and tell him that I have failed. He will be very angry." The thief had walked all day and now he felt tired. He sat down next to a tailor's stall and looked at his shoes. He saw that they had big holes in them. There was an old man sitting at the tailor's stall. He was making a pair of silk trousers. "Look at the holes in my shoes," said the thief. Then he took off his shoes and held them up for the old man to see. "Can you see the holes?" said the thief. "It will soon be dark." "You are not a young man, are you? Perhaps your eyes are not very good." "Oh, yes, I can see the holes," said Mustafa. "And my eyes are fine, thank you," he said proudly. "I am still the best tailor in town." I can still see well enough to thread a needle. No one in this town can sew as well as I can, he went on. In fact, a few days ago, I had a very difficult job. One sewed a suit for the body of a dead man in a dark cellar. A servant girl came and asked me to sew it for him. She took me to his house. A dead man? The thief exclaimed. He moved closer to the tailor, trying to hide his excitement. Please. Tell me more. How did he die? I can't tell you anything about him, replied the tailor. It is a secret, I gave the servant girl my word. The thief took a gold coin from the pocket of his cloak. He held it out to the old man. What is your name, old man? He asked. Mustafa, the tailor replied. Well, Mustafa, I don't want to know the dead man's name, the thief said with a smile. I don't want to know anything about him. Just take me to his house, and I will pay you well. Mustafa thought for a moment. Then he took the gold coin. I will try, he said. But the servant girl made me wear a blindfold. I may not be able to find the house. Let us go there now, said the thief. You can wear a blindfold as you die before. You must also wear the blindfold when you return home so that you cannot find the house again. You may not be able to see, but you can listen to sounds and smell the scents of flowers and the food on the way. Try to find the house, just do your best. I will pay you well. And he put another gold coin into the tailor's hand. I will try, said Mustafa with a smile. Then he finished sewing the thief's shoes and shut up his stall. The thief took out a large yellow handkerchief and tied it over Mustafa's eyes. There he said. Now, pretend found the servant girl, try to find the sounds that you heard and the scents that you smelled the first time you went to the house. The two men set off. The thief held the old tailor's arm to help him along. After a short time, Mustafa stopped and sniffed the air. Meatballs, he said. Someone is having meatballs for supper. They smell very good. I am sure that this is the right way. A few minutes later, the old man said, I can hear the sound of donkeys somewhere to my left. That is the way we must go. After a few more minutes, he stopped and said, I can hear a baby crying. That poor little thing must cry every evening, perhaps he doesn't want to go to bed. Anyway, we are going in the right direction. We are nearly there. They walked a little further. The tailor sniffed the air, and said, I can smell roses. I remember that scent, roses are my favorite flower. This is the right house, my friend. This is the house where I sewed the suit. The scent of roses came from Qasim's beautiful window boxes. The tailor had led the thief to the house where he had made the suit. Are you sure this is the right house? Asked the thief. I am quite sure, replied the tailor. This is the house. But I do not know this part of the town, I can't tell you whose house it is. That doesn't matter. You have told me a lot. You have been very helpful. Now take this gold coin and I will lead you back to your stall. The thief took a piece of white chalk from his pocket and made a chalk mark on the door of the house. There, he said to himself. All these grand houses look the same. When I bring my leader here, the chalk mark will tell us which one it is. Then we can go in with our swords and find the other thief who is stealing our treasure. The thief took Mustafa back to his stall and then he set off to the forest to join the other men. "My leader will be so pleased with me," he laughed. As he rode, he tried to imagine the men's faces when they heard the news. The next morning, Marjana, the servant girl, was preparing breakfast for Ali Baba and the rest of the family. She made a pot of coffee and picked some oranges. She set out plates and cups. But then she found that she had no bread in the kitchen. "I'll go to the market and buy some," she decided. She picked up her shopping basket and walked into town. When Marjana came back with the bread, she saw a white chalk mark on the door of Qasim's house. She looked at it more closely. "This wasn't here yesterday," she said to herself. "Who has made this mark on the door and what does it mean?" Marjana thought for a moment. Then she rubbed her chin and frowned. "I don't know who put the chalk mark there," she said. "I don't know why they did it, but it must be something bad. I know what I must do." She went into the house and found a piece of white chalk. Then she walked along the street and put white chalk marks on all the doors. "That will fool the person who put the mark on our door," she said to herself with a smile. Then she went back into the house to finish making the breakfast. She did not tell anyone about the chalk marks.